Hello. I picked up this bike on Facebook Marketplace for 50 bucks and I turned it into a gravel bike. So I want to make this video to talk about it a bit. But yeah, I'll give you the overview. Background, this is a 91 or 92 Trek Antelope 830. Honestly, the paint is pretty beat and faded, but we'll call it character. So originally I was just gonna rip around on this as a flat bar mountain bike, but I got the bug to turn it into a gravel build. So that's what I ended up doing. So the bike as it sits today is a 1x12, 11 to 51 tooth in the rear, and then 42, 44 teeth in the front. And then it's got drop bars. The group set is a L2 or LTWOO group set. All in on this bike, I think the entire thing was 700 bucks. So not bad at all for what you get, and frankly, the dollar value to fun ratio is off the charts. The weight is 28.9 pounds. So this thing is pretty heavy to lug around. One of the things that I really was unsure about, actually there were two primary things I didn't know. So number one was, can we do a 1x12 on this bike that came with a 3x7? So this is like an old school 26er. The answer is yes, with a caveat. So the caveats are, number one, you need to have a steel frame, which probably if you're doing a 26er gravel bike, you're using a steel frame. Aluminum frames don't like it when you bend them out. Steel frames, within reason, generally don't care. So the rear on this had to be widened. And with that said, the actual free hub had to be changed as well. So I think I'm gonna put like a build list, like a link to a Notion doc or something in the description with part numbers. But basically, I picked up like I think it said 8 to 10 or 7 to 10 free hub. And what that ended up working for is the 12 speed, because apparently they're the same width. So I threw that on there, and then had to get a new axle in the rear, and then I'll post like some B-roll of how I did this, but basically you just need to widen the rear on this, which is very easy to do. You don't need to be scared of it. We're only moving about an inch, but yeah, so you widen that out, you slap the new free hub on, and then I think it's an 11 to 51 tooth cassette just went on right there. So it's a Shimano Hyperglide cassette that I guess you can't get these mountain bike ranges in Hyperglide. Like Shimano doesn't make them, but the aftermarket, this is a Sunrace, they do. So it's a great gear range, and then either 42 or 44 up front. That chainring is just you can buy them for 20 bucks on Amazon. So the whole 1x12 thing went very smoothly. I'm really happy with it. There are other reviews out there on the L2 products, which you should probably go look at. For this one in particular, like my quick review is that it's awesome. There's really just two things I don't like about it. So the first thing I don't like about it is when I got it from AliExpress and mounted it up, the pivot that the derailleur's on has just a slight bit of slop in it, which means that, you know, when it's adjusted just right, it works fine. But if it's off at all, you run into issues, because with that slop in that pivot there, once you're out into the biggest gear, that slop basically is amplified and it moves over. So it's a little tough to get it exactly shifting right into the biggest gear, but it's totally workable. It's just more fiddly than it should be. So that's thing number one that I don't like. The second thing I don't like about this is this weird cable routing that they have. The cable comes out, and you know, there's the adjuster there, and then it goes around this little, basically like a ramp, and then you tighten it in. And the problem with this is that the cable can come off and over very easily. It won't ever happen while you're riding, or at least hasn't happened to me. But the instances where it is troublesome is like I had to change a flat on the trail, and I'm off on the side. I change the flat, I get it back together, and like this shifter is totally slack. And what it was is this cable had come off, and where that really screws you is that you can't get the cable back on, or maybe you can really lever it, but there's no safe way to get the cable back on without actually undoing one of your adjustments, which is a problem because now you've lost your adjustment and you're on the trail. And like I mentioned before, in the first thing I don't like, the adjustment really has to be nailed. But anyways, so that's that. On the L2, the things I really like about it, these shifters, this thumb shifter thing on this particular model is awesome. It's on your thumb, and then you have your top shifter, and then when you're on the drops, there's a piece, it's this funny looking piece, but it goes down and you can press it with your thumb. And the shifting itself is really great. One of the unknowns about this whole thing was also whether or not this cable pull ratio for the brakes was gonna work with my rim brakes. It wasn't listed on the site or anything, like what the ratio is. So it was ultimately just a matter of getting it here and trying it, and thank God it worked just fine for these brakes. First thing I did to it is put these Gravel King tires on there. These are good. I mean, I'm not really a tire guy and I don't have a lot of like point of reference for this, but I've been happy with them in the dry on all sorts of different terrain. In the wet, there's some like areas around where I ride where the top mud just gets like very like slick, like almost slime. And as soon as you hit that with these tires, you're done for. I mean, you're basically on slicks. So anyways, they don't do well in the wet off-road, but frankly, they're not designed to be doing that in the first place. But in the dry, they're great. So that's tires. Under them, I'm running TPU tubes. Originally, I was running butyl, and they just couldn't take the low tire pressure that I want to run because it's not tubeless. So that's one of the huge drawbacks of doing a 26er build is there are tubeless, like my dad on his Trek mountain bike, for whatever reason, it has rims that can do tubeless, but they're hard to find. You can't pick them up on Marketplace. You could go get them built, but then you're in the whole world of money that you don't want to spend on a bike like this, frankly. No offense to the bike, but really, you know, I didn't want to spend that money. So I am stuck with tubes. I'm running TPU tubes. I've been getting away with 30 PSI. So we're running that for now, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But you know, frankly, it's still a high tire pressure, you know, relatively speaking to what people run today. And this whole bike, this is one of the things I don't like about it, is for like long, harder gravel rides. It just is really hard on your body. I went out for a ride, shout out Bicycle Emporium. I went out for a ride with those guys at the end of last year. This was my first time out there. People were looking at me very funny because I'm on this bizarre bike, but it was a blast. And by the end of it, like 22 miles and I think 3,000 feet of elevation or something, my whole body just hurt. Like I was exhausted, not from the pedaling, but just from managing the bike. But you know, I'm a really crappy mountain bike rider and a really crappy gravel rider anyways. But I think, you know, lower tire pressures would be helpful, easier on your body. I'm also considering a suspension stem. So that leads us to the stem part of things. Now this was another unknown for me, but I was able to get a quill adapter on Amazon. I bought a couple because the way it goes when you're buying these like Chinese products on Amazon is the thing in the photo only matches like exactly to what shows up like 20% of the time. So I had to buy a couple to get one that didn't have an obnoxious chrome cap at the top, but the one I bought ended up being like $9. Put it in there. It's great. Put the stem on there. Right now I've got this, it's like a 7-degree stem. I have it in the down low position. I need to raise it. When I was first kind of mocking up the bike, I compared it actually to this bike, like the difference between the seat and where my handles would be. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like less aggressive. You know, I'm less slammed than on the Aero Road, so I should be happy. But on this bike, the position of the bars on this bike feels kind of ridiculous. With that said, the bars I got are these like Ritchie flared bars. They're super cool. Like, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say like part of it was like the look of it. Like the look is awesome. But I ended up getting them a little bit more narrow than I should have. I think, you know, if I were to do it again, I'd get a couple centimeters wider, mainly because I didn't anticipate with the flare how far over these hoods would be. So the hood position is, you're pretty tight in there. But yeah, so if I were to do it again, I would have probably widened it out a bit. And then I think I'm gonna do something different with this stem. Because right now, like, you like don't even need the drops. Like you are very aero just in this tucked position on the hoods. So that's all that. Brakes, this is very standard. It came with these cantilever brakes. I put on the Shimano Dior brakes. They're like 20 bucks a pop. On the L2, I wasn't really sure if the cable actuated was supposed to be for cable actuated disc brakes or rim brakes, but figured I'd order it and find out since they didn't specify it on their website. And it worked out. Lo and behold, it's for rim brakes. I mean, this is really the only game in town for cable brake 1x12, so I don't have much other options. I'm using the stock cranks. The bottom bracket was in a disastrous state when I got it, so I swapped that out. One of the great things about those like OEM parts is they're so cheap now. The bottom bracket's like 25 bucks or something. And then put just Shimano, gravel pedals on there. There's also this frame bag on here, which I really like. To be honest, it's a knockoff of a tail fin. The tail fin products are awesome. I wasn't looking to spend that much money at the time, but if you have the budget, buy the tail fin version. It says it's waterproof. It is not waterproof. It has a little vent right here where water can go up into it. So it's water resistant, let's say, but it's not waterproof. So when you're washing it, if you're spraying, you're gonna get water in there. So don't expect it to waterproof your stuff. So that's my rambles on this entire bike. I freaking love it. Like, this bike is a heck of a lot of fun. Like, lately in the winter months, I've been riding it more than my road bike, mainly because I haven't been doing these like long rides, but this is just awesome to have for little gravel rides and then just around town. I took it down to the Bay Area on the train, and because it's like an older bike and it's kind of beat up, it has character, I guess, it doesn't draw so much attention like bringing a road bike would. So I'm super stoked with this. Hopefully this video answered some of the questions that, if you want to do this, you might have that I had. And if you have other questions, feel free to like comment or send me a message on Instagram or Twitter or something. And I'm happy to help because these bikes are so cool. It's frankly just so much fun to see a bike like this from like the 90s. This is older than me, have new life and get so much love. Hopefully this video was helpful for you if you're looking into doing this, and yeah, happy riding.